Salute, Ra. Yes, that is Mona Leo. Yeah, her Sexy Salon song that kind of got her blew up. What was that, last year or so? Yeah. For my white folks, my non-black folks in the that's gonna end up coming at some point, man. No offense, y'all. You know what I'm saying? But this is a black show today. Which is always really a black show when I get on this bitch, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, yeah, it ain't that we want you to be last. It's just that we want our people to be first today. That's it. But man, I hope everybody out there is having a great Black History Month or a great Black History year. Because to me, man, Black History is all year round, man. Because it's a part of American history, man. It's entrenched. You can't get uh you can't get history of America without the history of Black people. Whether you want to say it goes all the way to Africa or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking about Black people in general, man, because we are so entrenched in the foundation of this country. You know what I'm saying? Which is why I don't have a problem with terms like foundational Black American and stuff like that. Even though I do have a problem with how it's represented in media, how it's represented on social media in particular. But I do have a problem with people minimizing what Black contribution has been to America. And honestly, so far, man, it seems like I haven't really been able to do a lot of Black history videos like I did last year. So I felt like I had to at least do one. Had to at least do one, man. So we're gonna review some Black history content. We're gonna talk about a little bit of the deacons of the fence. We're gonna talk about a lot of different things, man. That we can in an hour and about an hour and a half of content. But we're gonna definitely try to get into as much as we can on Black history, Black Texas history, particularly Dallas. We'll do a little video over that, and we really just gonna just talk about some things, man. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, man. But first off, I'm just gonna read from a couple of notes that I had took, just talking about Black history in general. You know what I'm saying? One of the main and most evident things when it comes to Black history is the history of enslavement that helped build this country. You don't get this country without us building this country, just like Rod just said, man. We built this bitch. We built this shit from the ground up. And my problem with Black people right now, man, is that we getting in so many other fights that we forgetting that, you know what I'm saying? The biggest problem that we facing in this country right now is not immigrants. It's not Black people of the diaspora, whether they be from Jamaica, Grenada, Africa, any of that shit, man. It's white supremacy. The reason why you have a problem with an African has a problem with you, or you with a Mexican with you, any of that shit like that, it's because of white supremacy. It's not because of uh we innately have this disdain for one another that is just that's just built into our DNA. We just can't stand Mexicans. We just can't stand Africans, man. Like like Malcolm X told us a long time ago, who taught you to hate yourself? Because if you can be online or you can be on any of these spaces and constantly down other Black people, regardless of where they're from, then the problem is self hate. The problem isn't hate for another specific group of people. It's literally because of, you know what I'm saying, the self hate that makes us be highly critical of other Black dark skinned people as opposed to the people, especially the people in power right now. Because I mean, if you living in America under this Trump regime, you should that should be your number one focus of criticism right now. But we're gonna get on a little bit of his orange ass later, man. So Let me find my first video and we gonna really gonna get to it. Cause this shit is just crucial, man. It's a lot of shit going on these days, man. And I'm just a loss of words for it all, man. We're gonna go with my little known Black History Facts video. Just to start off. Some of this y'all might know. This is just a video that I ran across as I was looking for different Black History videos, man. Some of this shit I'm gonna have to go from YouTube, I'm gonna have to go to Facebook, I'm gonna have to go to TikTok in order to review some of the videos I want to show because everything's not on YouTube today. So you'll see me hopping from platform to platform on my share screen. But bear with me. Oh, damn. Hold on now. But yeah, I'll be hopping from platform to platform to talk about different things as far as in pertaining to Black history, different conversations that are happening amongst Black people right now that I've been seeing as of late. And just different things like that, man. But mainly, like I said, the synopsis of this shit is to, you know what I'm saying, remind all my brothers and sisters, man, that shit, Black history, which I don't just call the Black history of Black Americans, but the Black history, period. The Black history going all the way back to Africa, all that shit is addressed here in America because there's so many customs and traditions that go back to the continent of Africa in different parts, different tribes and shit. A lot of people try to deny that and try to make it seem as if, you know what I'm saying, Black Americans are its own significant thing, which we are. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a shared common ancestry, that we don't have a shared history of oppression. We weren't colonized here. You know what I'm saying? The Native Americans necessarily were. And some of you niggas think y'all Native Americans. That's another thing we're gonna talk about today. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? We all have had to face the oppression from white, you know what I'm saying, settlers or colonizers or imperialism, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's where we need to, you know what I'm saying, always focus our attention and our whatchamacallit too. Hold on, Raj. What you saying, Raj? We all Native Americans now? That's gonna. I got a video for you. You know what I'm saying? Then if you believe that, I'm not saying that there are no Black Native Americans. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying that there are no Black Native Americans. I won't ever say that. I know many of Black people who can tell you of a distant relative that was Native American. But I also want to say we can't erase the fact of what Native American, you know what I'm saying, their role in Black enslavement and oppression, you know what I'm saying, as also Black liberation. And I could also say the same about white people and other, you know what I'm saying, groups of people because, you know what I'm saying, the fight wasn't just ours to fight alone, even though a lot of niggas believe that, you know what I'm saying? We had people on the sidelines with us just because most of the people were Black back in our earlier movements doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying, there wasn't ever coalition building. That's why, you know what I'm saying, Fred Hampton is a very important character when it comes to, you know what I'm saying, this whole thing of Black history. Like Fred Hampton, his whole concept of the Rainbow Coalition is really big and key to, you know what I'm saying, fighting a lot of the systems that America has built, you know what I'm saying, especially if we talking capitalism. But we're not gonna get into all that right now. We're gonna go into the Black History facts. And if you know the Black History facts, man, because it's supposed to be little known. I remember the first like two I want to say that I remember, you know what I'm saying, for sure. I can't it's been a minute. I watched this video like a week or so ago, so I might not be all the way fresh on everything that's in the video, but you know what I'm saying? We're gonna check them out, see that we see what we know, what we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Get a little nice little refresher. Then I'm gonna go back over some of my notes. You know what I'm saying? On my just ideas and thoughts of Black history. Hold on, let me share my screen real quick before I look at this comment. I feel like me and Raw finna have us a good old debate in the chat today. All right, got the screen share. Let me. Yeah, if you can show me a link or something to that what these scientists have found, I'll probably look for it myself later on anyway. Because to me, it's not to say that there wasn't no black people here first or this, that, and the third or whatever. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? From what I've always seen, common knowledge is that whoever the people that supposedly crossed the Bering Strait was the first people over here first. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, you know what I'm saying? To me, it don't matter because I think that African people, you know what I'm saying, probably, you know what I'm saying, touched a lot of parts of the globe before everybody else. I think that to deny the African ancestry that's in all our blood for most of the people that's in America, I say damn near all the black people that's in America. But I can at least say, you know what I'm saying, most and feel confident in be saying most. I think that that's the problem that I have with a lot of black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like black people are trying to deny being African these days. You know what I'm saying? And the crazy thing about it is that shit, this is not a new phenomenon. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember watching Boys in the Hood and seeing homeboy saying, look, we all came from the west coast of Africa. And that nigga like, I ain't from no Africa, I'm from Crenshaw Mafia. Nigga, you know what I'm saying? And then calling niggas African booty scratchers and shit like that. Like, I remember this being a major thing, nigga, that, you know what I'm saying, that's even the damn joke that some niggas would say to African people when they met them, like, you an African booty scratcher and shit like that, as if not all people scratch their ass if it itch. You know what I'm saying? But for me, like I say, you know what I'm saying, I don't think the basis of our identity matters when it comes to white supremacy. Cause they not looking at a nigga and saying, oh, well, yeah, that nigga's native. Okay, that's an African. Oh, that's a Haitian. That's a Jamaican. You're black. That's really all it come down to. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to really, you know what I'm saying, define yourself in the grand scheme of things in a nation where you're the minority. And like black people say, they have no power, which I don't agree with, but you know what I'm saying? We have no power. Well, we don't have the power to define ourselves either. And hey, Rob, if you see for you to say that, that's the part that I don't mind. Like if you say we foundational to this country, that we the Native American, we this, that, and the third, but you can also remember that, hey man, our lineage is African. You know what I'm saying? We come from there. You know what I'm saying? I can see that. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't even to say that we are the same people anymore, because of course, you know what I'm saying, changes happen over time. But to just to pretty much erase the African ancestry out of our blood and like there's a whole community that I deal with, man. I ain't gonna say I deal with anymore, but I was dealing with at a point in time, probably like 2 summers ago, the Aboriginal community. You know what I'm saying? And they wouldn't they couldn't, you know what I'm saying, even fathom the thought of, you know what I'm saying, black people being from Africa at all, bro. Like they looked at us and Africans as, you know what I'm saying, like totally different people. Like, no, there's not, like, there's black people have like originated here millions of years ago when this motherfucker was created, bro. That African people, not African people, but American people were here, and that all blacks come from America. Like them, they're pretty much the history of Africa. They reversed it and made it America, which I know a lot of people still say that, hey man, you go through the Grand Canyon and somehow you're gonna end up in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Like I've heard these type of things. So yeah, but let's not wait. Let's not prolong this any further, and let's go and get on to the video real quick, and we'll discuss a little bit as we go.
To celebrate Black History Month, or Negro History Week, which was introduced by historian Carter G. Woodson, you will find out 10 Black history facts that are least known in today's video. So sit back, relax, hold tight. Something
Yeah,
unique is coming your
see
way.
y'all at least known as.
Before there was Rosa Parks, there was Claudette Colvin. Most people, including you, think of Rosa Parks as the first person.
And salute to Claudette Colvin. That was my second video ever made on this channel. You know what I'm saying? And Claudette Colvin what died last year, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I'm saying? A real OG and a real pioneer in the boycotting and civil disobedience movement at the time, man, that they would, you know what I'm saying, like a real pioneer behind that shit. You know what I'm saying? And he gonna explain that colorism and identity politics and all that shit played a part in Claudette Colvin not being known while Rosa Parks was, you know what I'm saying, spearheaded as the leader of a movement, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think that more of our history books need to talk about Claudette Colvin, man, because she was actually a part of the lawsuit that helped overturn the separate but equal doctrine that was uh the law of the land for a long, long time. You know what I'm saying? So salute to Claudette Colvin, man, for sure.
To refuse to give up their seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. Well, several women came before Rosa Parks, one of whom was Claudette Colvin. It was March the 2nd, 1955, when the 15-year-old schoolgirl refused to move to the back of the bus. This incident happened 9 months before Rosa Parks' stand that launched the Montgomery bus boycott. Claudette had been studying black leaders like Harriet Tubman in her segregated school. Those conversations had led to a discussion around the current day Jim Crow laws they were all experiencing. When the bus driver ordered Claudette to get up, she refused. Claudette said it felt like Sojourner Truth was on one side pushing me down, and Harriet Tubman was on the other side of me pushing me down. I couldn't get up. Claudette Colvin's stand didn't stop there. She had the will to do something for her people, which got her arrested and thrown in jail. She was one of 4 women who challenged the segregation law in court. If Broder vs. Gale became the court case that successfully overturned the bus segregation laws in both Montgomery and the state of Alabama, why has Claudette's story been largely forgotten? At the time, the NAACP and other black organizations thought Rosa Parks made a better icon for the movement than a teenager. As an adult with the right looks, Rosa Parks was also the NAACP secretary and was both well known and respected. People would associate her with the middle class, which would also attract support for the cause. But the struggle to end segregation was often fought by young people, more than half of which were women. The courage of Claudette Colvin has become just another story. To pay tribute to a 15-year-old girl's bravery, you can read Claudette Colvin's book, Twice Towards Justice. Martin Luther King Jr. improvised the most iconic part of his I Have a Dream speech. It's normal.
Right, Rod. The aesthetics of it all. You know what I'm saying? It was all about the look. And honestly, a lot of the civil rights movement was about the look of the civil rights movement. It wasn't about necessarily having the right people fighting for the right situations and shit. And I don't necessarily think that that's a complete bad thing because you know what I'm saying, you was trying to appeal to white lawmakers and white citizens that supported these type of things, you know what I'm saying? Because we didn't need the civil rights movement, black people particular. Black people in this country already knew we built this country. We already knew that we were valuable assets to this country. It was the white people that didn't know that shit. And the sad part is that, you know what I'm saying, our violence, our anger, our frustration would have been looked at as criminal. It's still to this day looked at as criminal. So even though I know a lot of people criticize Martin Luther King and criticize a lot of the civil rights movement for the nonviolence and shit, I get where they were coming from. I just also feel like you can't ignore like the Deacons of Defense. You can't ignore the Black Panthers. You can't ignore, you know what I'm saying, the many of armed militia groups that were still happening even before Black Panthers that were ready to kill behind this shit. Deacons of Defense, a lot of people, you know, they criticize Christianity, but shit, they were a Christian group that had guns and that were making sure that Martin Luther King didn't just always get, you know what I'm saying, hemmed up in every place he was at. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't always them getting sprayed and hosed and they ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of pushback. It was a lot of fighting back. Even Martin Luther King toward the end of his life was carrying guns. A lot of people don't know these things, man. And I think because we whitewash the radical side of these people, and we look at everything that's aesthetically pleasing behind the shit, you know what I'm saying? Really, the aesthetics that white people think are pleasing, the non-violent, docile nature of some of these protests, man. We forget that, man. A lot of them young folks was ready to fight. A lot of them young black women, in particular, you know what I'm saying? Because the civil rights movement was pretty much, I ain't gonna lie, majority of it was black women. That's one thing we can't deny. History already tells us this, man. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna let him continue, man, because yeah, man. He's saying they were saying that Martin Luther King improvised on his "I Have a Dream" speech. Little fact, this is one I didn't know. I actually didn't know.
To improvise speeches on stage, but I Have a Dream sounds impossible, but it's true. On Wednesday, August the 28th, 1963, 250,000 Americans united at the Lincoln Memorial for the March's final speech on Washington. As Martin Luther King Jr. stood at the podium, he eventually pushed his notes aside. The night before the march, Dr. King began working on his speech with a small group of advisors in the Willard Hotel lobby. The original speech was more political and less historic, according to Clarence B. Jones, and it didn't include any references to dreams. After delivering the now famous line,
"No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream,"
Dr. King transformed his speech into a sermon. On stage during Dr. King, singer Mahalia Jackson reportedly kept saying, "Tell him about the dream, Martin." And while no one would know if he heard her, it could have likely been the inspiration he needed. Dr. King then continued.
"So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream."
And then the famous Baptist preacher preached on, adding repetition and outlining the specifics of his dream. No one from the authorities was ready for this impromptu speech, but somewhere deep down, they knew something like this could happen. But even earlier, they discussed delivering a speech in the form of a sermon, but nothing was fixed. That day, honesty and emotions ruled the stage and traveled through the crowd. While this spontaneous speech given on a hot August day in 1963 was not considered a universal success immediately, it is now recognized as one of American history's greatest speeches. Inoculation was introduced to America by an enslaved African. Few details are known about the birth of Onesimus, but it's assumed he was born in Africa in the late 17th century before eventually landing in Boston. One of the 1,000 African descendants living in the Massachusetts colony, Onesimus was a gift to the Puritan church minister Cotton Mather's from his congregation in 1706. Onesimus told Mather's about the century-old tradition of inoculation practiced in Africa. By extracting the material from an infected person and scratching it into the skin of an uninfected person, you could deliberately introduce smallpox to the healthy individual, making them immune. He described to Mather's the process of inoculation that had been performed on him and others in his society in Africa, saying people take a juice of smallpox and cut the skin and put in a drop. Considered extremely dangerous at the time, Cotton Mather's convinced Dr. Zabdiel Boylston to experiment with the procedure when a smallpox epidemic hit Boston in 1721, and over 240 people were inoculated. Opposed politically, religiously, and medically in the United States and abroad, public reaction to the experiment put Mather's and Boylston's lives in danger, despite records indicating that only 2% of the patients requesting inoculation died compared to 15% of the people not inoculated who contracted smallpox. Onesimus' traditional African practice was used to inoculate American soldiers during the Revolutionary War.
And you know what, man? You know what's funny about this whole thing right here in particular is the amount of Negroes that I done seen out here. Man, I'm glad I didn't get vaccinated. Ooh. And don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna sit here and act like the government, and this because this is not a thing that even though it might have, inoculation is the process that pretty much created vaccines in particular. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I know we don't have that control over that anymore to a certain degree. I know it's probably some black people in the room, but I'm sure it's not the majority. And yeah, I just find it funny that, you know what I'm saying, because for the most part, vaccines have saved lives, man. Like, we talk about smallpox and all that shit back then, man. Malaria, different flus, and the hybrids that keep popping up, even COVID itself. We're a safer world because of vaccines at the end of the day. And it all starts from homie, man. I can't even remember this nigga name. I'm gonna rewind this shit real quick so we can hear his name again, man. Cause that's a real pioneer, and this is another one that I did not know. So, you know what I'm saying? Gotta salute that, man. Black people are at the forefront of all, you know what I'm saying, discoveries here in America, of all events here in America, from the Revolutionary War, and the first person to die in that, which was Crispus Attucks. Like my boy Stokely Carmichael said, he was a damn fool, but hey, at the end of the day, he was the patriot. And I think a lot of patriots are damn fools, honestly. But you know what I'm saying? Hey, at the end of the day, nigga loved his country and fought for it when he wasn't even considered a human being. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily by all, of course, because even back then, you know what I'm saying, it was a little bit less color based until they got into the Naturalization Act, and they got into the Indian Wars, and a lot of different things in history in them 1700s, them late 1700s, that changed attitudes, where, because indentured service and slaves worked side by side for a nice little period of our inception, and you know what I'm saying, for sure, you know what I'm saying. But shit changed when they decided to, you know what I'm saying, start whitenizing, you know what I'm saying, other Europeans that weren't necessarily English or Anglo-Saxon, to be more specific, even though the actual Anglo-Saxon term didn't come until later. Because Anglo and Saxon were two different races, but then they joined them at some point. But
and introduced the concept of inoculation to the United States. Data compared by record people were not smallpox had been performed on him and making them immune. Person, you could deliberately introduce from an infected century-old tradition of an congregation in Boston. One of the 1,000 African descendants living in the Massachusetts colony, Onesimus was a gift to the Puritan church minister Cotton Mathers.
Onesimus, man. Let me try to remember that, man. I might need to write that down. Onesimus. Because that's somebody that literally is forgotten in time right there. You know what I'm saying? That's Onesimus is somebody who's literally forgotten in time. Nobody would ever think to say that black people had anything to do with vaccines in today's time, because vaccines will look so stigmatized. But yeah, hey man, salute to Onesimus, man. Let's finish this out though, man.
From his congregation in 1706. Onesimus told Mathers about the century-old tradition of inoculation practiced in Africa. By extracting the material from an infected person and scratching it into the skin of an uninfected person, you could deliberately introduce small.
I just want to say one more thing. And the fact is that he technically didn't create it by saying what he just said, that this is something that was happening in Africa already. So technically, that's what I think people don't understand about the more tribal side of the world before we started becoming super, whatever they want to call, civilized, which is, I feel like, is really a bullshit term, racist term anyway, because you can't say that the people before you wasn't civilized if they were doing these type of things to stay healthy, injecting, you know what I'm saying? Who wouldn't think that, all right, let me get some of an actual disease or germ or bacteria and inject you with just a little bit of it, that your body learns to fight that shit off. You know what I'm saying? That is fucking amazing. That's ahead of his time thinking. And the fact that this was happening in Africa, probably, you know what I'm saying, pretty freely. Whoever came up with the concept didn't say, hey, look, I created this. And Yeah, y'all should patent that shit and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna sell it to y'all instead, man. Taught a community of people to, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna see that is debatable because a lot of people believe that, you know what I'm saying, Mesopotamia, which is all of it in Africa, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, and those are more likely to be like the Nubians, I want to say, you know what I'm saying? Back in Mesopotamia and shit, even though they call it in Mesopotamia, it was, you know what I'm saying, more likely whatever the Nubians called that shit. So it's a debate whether it was the Nubians or the, you know what I'm saying, Egyptians, which were the birthplace of civilization, man. Because I ain't gonna lie, I want to say they say the earliest civilization is Mesopotamia, and I say that those definitely were the Nubians that were down there, the more closer to sub-Saharan Africa and shit. But I ain't gonna lie. At the end of the day, the Egyptian civilization was probably the more advanced and the longer thriving, but before they started intermingling with Greek culture and shit like that, which I feel like was the downfall of Africa because they let that started that right there let the I don't know a lot of shit in, man. I mean, I ain't gonna necessarily say, you know what I'm saying. It all depends on how you believe in certain shit, man. But I definitely think mixing Greek culture in with, you know what I'm saying, that African practices and shit was just, you know what I'm saying, different. Like, but then some people believe that, you know what I'm saying, that part of Africa and sub-Saharan Africa are totally differently culturally. So I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, it definitely, you know what I'm saying. You got to give Egypt their credit, you know what I'm saying, for a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying, a lot of shit, man. But I definitely tend to believe the Nubians were probably the first actual civilization.
Smallpox to the healthy individual, making them immune. He described to Mathers the process of inoculation that had been performed on him and others in his society in Africa, saying people take a juice of smallpox and cut the skin and put in a drop. Considered extremely dangerous at the time, Cotton Mathers convinced Dr. Zabdiel Boyston to experiment with the procedure when a smallpox epidemic hit Boston in 1721, and over 240 people were inoculated. Opposed politically, religiously, and medically in the United States and abroad, public reaction to the experiment put Mathers and Bolson's lives in danger, despite records indicating that only 2% of the patients requesting inoculation died compared to 15% of the people not inoculated who contracted smallpox. Onesimus' traditional African practice was used to inoculate American soldiers during the Revolutionary War and introduced the concept of inoculation to the United States. However, an inscription on Bolson's tomb incorrectly identified him as the first one to have introduced the practice of inoculation into America. In 2016, medical science came to know about Onesimus' contribution, following which he was placed among the 100 best Bostons of all time by Boston Magazine. And when historian Ted Widmer of Montclair Honors College at City University, New York, noted that Onesimus reversed many of the colonists' traditional racial assumptions. He had a lot more knowledge medically than most of the Europeans in Boston at the time. The earliest recorded protest against slavery was by the Quakers in 1688. Quakers, also known as the Society of Friends, have a long history of abolitionism. The initial protests in the 17th century, drafted by Francis Daniel Pastoris, a young German attorney, and 3 other Quakers living in Germantown, Pennsylvania, on behalf of the Germantown meeting of the Religious Society of Friends to raise the issue of slavery with the Quakers meeting which they attended. They saw the slave trade as a grave injustice against their fellow man and used the golden rule to argue against such inhumane treatment. Regardless of skin color, we should do unto others as we would have done unto ourselves. In their protest, they stated, "Pray what things in the world can be done worse towards us, than if men shall rob or steal us away and sell us for slaves to strange countries, separating husband from their wife and children." Their protests against slavery and human trafficking.
I was on mute. I wonder why we don't ever talk about the Quakers. Quakers are always just like I'm in college history course right now, my course that take you up into modern history. You know, you learn about the early shit up to the Civil War. You know what I'm saying? And your first little history side, and then the second one you go all the way up to modern and postmodern. You know what I'm saying? But I just find it weird that they just get a little brief little shit like that. Like this being could have been one of them nice little facts they could have threw in the textbook and shit. And you know what I'm saying? The fact is shit. You know what I'm saying? It's something that's very not it's not talked about like that, man. Mm-hmm. And I wonder what kind of because Quakers, I don't know what kind of Christian they are. It might have been like Calvinists or some shit. But that's interesting, man. Like I said, that's another one I didn't know, man.
African was presented at a monthly meeting at Dublin and Philadelphia. The Dublin monthly meeting reviewed the protest and sent it to the quarterly meeting, feeling it was too serious of an issue for their own meeting to decide. The four friends continued their efforts and presented it at the Philadelphia yearly meeting, but it wasn't until 88 years later that the Society of Friends officially denounced slavery. Over the centuries, this rare document has been considered lost twice. Most recently, it was rediscovered in 2005 and is now at Hartford College Special Collections. Of the 12.5 million Africans shipped to the New World during the transatlantic slave trade, fewer than 388,000 arrived in the United States. In the late 15th century, seafaring technology's advancements created a new Atlantic that would change the world forever. As ships began connecting West Africa with Europe and the Americas, new fortunes were sought and native populations were decimated. With the native labor force dwindling and demand for plantation and mining labor growing, the transatlantic slave trade began. Sea Route gave the green light to the transatlantic slave trade that was underway from 1500 to 1866, shipping more than 12 million enslaved Africans across the world. Of those Africans, only 10.7 million survived the dreaded Middle Passage. Over 400 years, most enslaved Africans, 4.9 million of them, found their way to Brazil, where they suffered incredibly high mortality rates.
So this one actually do that. I did know that, man. And most people, that's why this is kind of good evidence to the more the Aboriginal side of the argument that you know what I'm saying, we didn't come from Africa, there was black people already here. You know what I'm saying? Because 300 and you know what I'm saying, 88 million, you know what I'm saying, people let's just say getting shipped Africans. You know what I'm saying? At one point, you know what I'm saying, that was I want to say it was at least, you know what I'm saying. I want to look it up so I don't just give you a false number, but I want to say it was just somewhere in a million slaves, you know what I'm saying, in the South, just like in general, not in one particular area, but I want to say like almost, you know what I'm saying, if it's not a million, you know what I'm saying, I want to say about like what? Emancipation? Let me look. I'm about to look this up. Oh. Yeah. So according to the 1860 U.S. Census, there were 3,953 and 53,760 enslaved people. So it was damn near 4 million enslaved people, you know what I'm saying, in America 5 years before the, you know what I'm saying, Civil War kicked off or whatever, or the end of the Civil War. I think 1 year, but that was 1 year before the actual Civil War kicked off. So, you know what I'm saying? That 300 some people that came with, that was, you know what I'm saying, 200 some years ago. So, you know, you had to, you know what I'm saying, do some intermingling, you know what I'm saying? Let's just say out of the, you know what I'm saying, that 300 something, you know what I'm saying, people, I know you ain't making, you know what I'm saying, four, you mean, you know what I'm saying, especially if they killing a lot of these niggas, if it was that, you know what I'm saying, they killing these niggas and all that different shit, you know what I'm saying, these people fighting and rebelling and shit, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's more likely than not that you might have a lineage that, you know what I'm saying, the people that might have been here already, you know what I'm saying, it's a good it's a good argument for that, you know what I'm saying, it's definitely a good argument for that. I just think that, you know what I'm saying, there was so much intermingling like going on. I want to say it was already African people who had came over here before, you know what I'm saying, the transatlantic slave trade and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Indians that, you know what I'm saying, because they have melanation. If they sleep with these type of people, you know what I'm saying, it's a good chance that these people got that kind of blood, shit like that. I mean, so it's a lot of different scenarios that could play out here. I don't know, that's why I say it is some significance to the fact that, you know what I'm saying, only that small percentage actually came to America. You know what I'm saying? My thing is that for people that say that they're still, that means that there were no, there's no way to say that those people were pretty much Native American. Or maybe in case you could call them Native American, but I'm just saying, where did they lineage come from? It most likely could have still came from Africa because there is record from Africa, the Mali Empire, of motherfuckers selling boats on boats on boats toward America trying to find land with all their gold and all that shit on the boats and shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's a good chance that maybe they died, or it's a good chance they made it to America. It's just that I don't think you can say that there's documented record writing saying, oh, that we know that those people got here and, you know what I'm saying, this is where they landed and shit like that. Or it could be actively being erased because I feel like there's a lot of shit that people know, especially historians and shit like that. But because it will shape up how world dominance is looked at, they keep it under wraps. That's why a lot of this shit don't get known by people that get to looking too hard and find shit like this Omisius. So I hope I said that nigga right. But you know what I'm saying? I just definitely an interesting fact and one that could go for the Abo side of the argument to this shit. You know what I'm saying? Most definitely. I gotta point out real when I see it.
Due to terrible working conditions. You will be amazed to know that Brazil was the last country to ban slavery in 1888. By the time the United States became involved in the slave trade, it had been underway for 200 years. The majority, but not all, of its 388 enslaved Africans arrived between 1700 and 1866, representing a much smaller percentage than most Americans realize. The diverse history of historically Black colleges and universities. When it comes to the pursuit of civil rights, Jewish and African American communities have a tumultuous shared history. There is a chapter in the shared history that is often overlooked. In the 1930s, when Jewish academics from Germany and Austria were dismissed from their teaching positions, many came to the United States looking for jobs. Due to the Depression, the xenophobia, and a rising anti-Semitism, many found it challenging to find work. But more than 50 found positions at HBCUs in the segregated South. Originally established to educate freed enslaved Africans to read and write, the first of the HBCUs was Cheyney University in Pennsylvania, established in 1837. By the time the Jewish professors arrived, the number of HBCUs have grown to 78. Because both Jews and African Americans were persecuted, Jewish professors in the Black colleges found the environment comfortable and accepting, often creating special programs to provide opportunities to engage Blacks and whites in meaningful conversation, often for the first time. In the years that followed, the interests of Jewish and African American communities increasingly diverged, but this one shared experience of discrimination and interracial cooperation remains a vital part of the civil rights movement. 1 in 4 cowboys was Black, despite the stories told in popular books and movies. Are you surprised? The biggest shock for you is it is believed that the real Lone Ranger was inspired by the African American man named Bass Reeves. Reeves had been born into slavery, but escaped west during the Civil War, where he lived in what was known as Indian Territory. He eventually became a deputy U.S. Marshal, was a master of disguise, an expert marksman, had a Native American companion, and rode a silver horse. Sounds similar to a Tarantino movie? No. If you think he had a unique fate, I'm afraid you are wrong. In the 19th century, the Wild Wild West drew enslaved Africans with the hope of freedom and wages. When the Civil War ended, freedmen came west, hoping for a better life where the demand for skilled labor was high. These African Americans made up at least a quarter of the legendary cowboys. They lived dangerous lives facing weather, rattlesnakes, and outlaws while they slept under the stars.
I knew this one as well, but yeah, man. Mainly the Bass Reeves Lone Ranger fact. But Yeah, man, down here in the South, man, it's a strong cowboy culture in the black community. You know what I'm saying? Real horse riders, real, you know what I'm saying, ranchers. All that little bullshit. Some niggas be having little horses barely fed and shit, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like the real deal. Yeah. But I mean, that's a little bit of a lost culture as well, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't know, the propaganda of us being like street niggas and shit and all that shit that got pushed into the 80s and shit, especially with the center being on cities and not being on the rural areas, you know what I'm saying, like East Texas and shit like that. Because you'll find a lot more niggas that's, you know what I'm saying, on some country shit. They might not necessarily be just a rancher, but they, you know what I'm saying, like, I think the country just got a different way of seeing shit, man. Also, some of these niggas brainwashed out here, you know what I'm saying? They're willing to accept that racism and whole ass shit. Just real.
Driving cattle herds to the market. While there was little formal segregation in the frontier towns and a great deal of personal freedom, black cowboys were often expected to do more of the work in the roughest jobs than their white counterparts. Loyalty did develop between the cowboys on a drive, but the black cowboys were typically responsible for breaking the horse and being the first ones to cross flooded streams during cattle drives. In fact, it is believed that the term cowboy originated as a derogatory term used to describe black cowhands. Esther Jones was the real Betty Boop. Most of you might be thinking, who's Betty Boop? Why Esther Jones? Let me tell you, these baby characters were similar. The difference was Betty Boop was a cartoon character, thought to be inspired by someone else. Sometimes later, people came to know about Esther Jones and realized she strengthened the roots. The iconic cartoon character Betty Boop was inspired by a black jazz singer in Harlem. Introduced by cartoonist Mac Fleischer in 1930, the jazz-age Flapper's character was the first and most famous sex symbol in animation. Betty Boop is known for her revealing dress, curvy figure, and signature vocals, boo-wop-doo. While there has been controversy over the years, the inspiration has been traced back to Esther Jones, known as Baby Esther, and performed regularly in the Cotton Club during the 1920s. Baby Esther's trademark vocal style of using bops and other childlike sounds attracted the attention of Helen Kane during the performance in the late 1920s. After seeing Baby Esther, Helen Kane adopted her style and began using bops in her songs as well. Finding fame early on, Helen Kane often included this baby style into her music. When Betty Boop was introduced, Kane promptly sued Fleischer and Paramount Public Corporation, stating that they were using her image and style. However, video evidence came to light of Baby Esther performing in a nightclub, and the courts ruled against Helen Kane, stating that she didn't have exclusive rights to the bopping style or image, and that style, in fact, predated her. Baby Esther's baby style did little to bring her mainstream fame, as she died in relatively obscurity, but a piece of her lives on in an iconic character, Betty Boop. The first licensed African-American female pilot was named Bessie Coleman. Born in Atlanta, Texas in 1892, Bessie Coleman grew up in a world of harsh poverty, discrimination, and segregation.
Shout out to East Texas. I ain't know that. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta, Texas. Stand up. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Representing though. You know what I'm saying? I ain't from Atlanta though, but that's out this way. So salute to them, man. Salute to Bessie Coleman, man. Might have to do some research on her, man. Put a little video up about her, you know what I'm saying? If I don't do it for Black History, I do it for Women's History. Shit, that's coming up in March. So, shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm definitely, you know what I'm saying, give out some shout out and do something with that, man. I might have to, because I ain't know that, man.
Moved to Chicago at 23 to seek her fortune, but found little opportunity there as well. Wild tales of flying exploits from returning World War I soldiers first inspired her to explore aviation, but she faced a double stigma in that being both African American and a woman. Coleman set her sights on France to reach her dreams and began studying French. In 1920, Coleman crossed the ocean with all of her savings and the financial support of Robert Abbott, one of the first African American millionaires. Over the next several months, she learned to fly, and in June of 1921, the Federation of Aeronautique Internationale awarded her an international pilot's license. For African American women to see the dream of being independent meant a lot then. When feminism was a naive kid, Coleman was flying in the sky. Coleman's return to the United States was widely celebrated. Reporters turned out in droves to greet her. Coleman performed at numerous air shows over the next 5 years, performing thrilling stunts, encouraging other African Americans to pursue flying, and refusing to perform where blacks were not admitted. Only 2 years into her flight career, Coleman survived her first significant airplane accident. In February of 1923, her airplane engine suddenly stopped working and she crashed. She was severely hurt in the accident and suffered a broken leg, a few cracked ribs, and a cut on her face. Thankfully, Coleman was able to heal from her injuries fully. This accident didn't stop her from flying. She went back to performing dangerous air tricks in 1925. On April 30th, 1926, Bessie Coleman took a test flight with a mechanic named William Willis. Willis was piloting the plane as Coleman sat in the passenger seat. At about 3,000 feet in the air, a loose wrench got stuck in the aircraft's engine. Willis was no longer able to control the steering wheel, and the plane flipped over. Unfortunately, Coleman was not wearing a seatbelt. Airplanes at the time did not have a roof or any protection. Coleman immediately fell out of the open plane and died. On her tragic death, the famous writer and equal rights advocate Ida B. Wells presided over her funeral. An editorial in the Dallas Express stated, "There's reason to believe that the general public did not completely sense the size of her contributions to the achievements of the race as such."
Hey man, they ain't say that other nigga died, bro. I don't know, dog. That might be when they took homegirl out, dog. I don't know if I'm just tripping. I ain't hear that right or what, because I remember hearing them niggas say that he fell out that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, why she wasn't wearing a seatbelt? Was he wearing a seatbelt? Like, what kind of shit was that, dog? Hold on, man. Let me. And salute to Ida B. Wells, another black legend. You know what I'm saying?
Bessie Coleman took a test flight with a mechanic named William Willis. Willis was piloting the plane as Coleman sat in the passenger seat. At about 3,000 feet in the air, a loose wrench got stuck in the aircraft's engine. Willis was no longer able to control the steering wheel, and the plane flipped over. Unfortunately, Coleman was not wearing a seatbelt. Airplanes at the time did not have a roof or any protection. Coleman immediately fell out of the open plane and died. On her tragic death.
Nah, man. That's some slick shit right there, nigga. That nigga might have killed her, man. And they just didn't give a fuck, bro. You know, they might just kill her because, like, come on, dog. You doing a test flight, man? Like, you can't tell me that shit ain't had no seatbelt in the back, bro. Like, was she instructed not to put her seatbelt on or some shit? Like, what's going on, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. This first black woman flying and all that shit, man, they probably like, man, what's this nigga doing flying around here, dog? Like, I don't know, bro. I gotta look into that for sure, dog. Man. So now, shout out to Atlanta, Texas, though, again, man.
The famous writer and equal rights advocate Ida B. Wells presided over her funeral. An editorial in the Dallas Express stated, "There's reason to believe that the general public did not completely sense the size of her contributions to the achievements of the race as such." Interracial marriage in the United States was banned in 1664 and not overturned until 1967. During the 17th and early 18th century, the growing number of interracial marriages, also known as miscegenation, between blacks and whites led to this new law's passage. The first anti-miscegenation law enacted was in the colony of Maryland in 1664, and additional colonies quickly followed suit. These marriages were prohibited, and penalties included the enslavement, exile, or imprisonment of the white perpetrators. These laws grew and evolved over the years, and attempts were even made to modify the Constitution to ban interracial marriage in all states. It would take 300 years for this law to be overturned. In 1967, Richard Loving, a white man, and Mildred Jeter, a black woman, were married in the District of Columbia. When they returned home to Virginia, they were arrested and convicted of violating the state's anti-miscegenation law. They each faced a year in jail, and their case went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court found in favor of the Lovings in a famous trial, Loving versus Virginia. They ruled that prohibiting interracial marriage on state and local levels was unconstitutional. This meant that marriages between the races were legal in the country for the first time since 1664. In 2000, Alabama became the last state to officially legalize interracial marriage by removing an unenforceable ban that was still contained in their state constitution. There are many such cases of rebel lovers who never bow down in front of laws. Here we come to the end of this video. In the comment section, let us know which fact touched you the most. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
That's what's up, man. A lot of, you know what I'm saying? Got to like a little bit on that one, man, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Crazy thing, I done watched that like twice and shit. It seems like I ain't watched none of that. But yeah, man, I guess watching it with the people, man, it hit different. It hit different, man. But Black history, man, is American history. And every part of us and our contributions, we touch every little part of American history. And you know what I'm saying? It's most of them trying to exclude our contribution and or use it and cover it in under a white, you know what I'm saying, covering to make it seem like they did it shit. And Black people should be some of the most proudest people, man. But a lot of times we be so focused on the bullshit, man. Uh, I'm really. I wonder if I should get on my find my deacons video that I was gonna do for the deacons, man. The deacons of the fence, man. Because I want to do a whole separate show on them, man. In general, but that was a real little movement right there, man. And I like the whole I forgot the man name, man. But homie, you know what I'm saying? He stood on business for the civil rights movement at the time, man. And I feel like no matter who you are or what you doing, it's got to be a time when you feel like, hey, man, you got to stand up, and you know we gonna die about this shit, man. Like we ain't finna let you just keep harming a group of people, our people. You know what I'm saying? That type of shit, man. Like, and it ain't, and I don't think these niggas are looking at like, shit, we crashing out or some shit. Like that's why I feel like people look at that type of shit now as like when we see people talk about shit on online and shit now. People talking about revolution or whatever, man. I see a lot of people turn into that whole, oh man, they gonna kill us, or ooh, they did this and all that type of shit, or why they don't want to get out and fight for whatever different cause it might be. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you might, you know what I'm saying, feel like on your heart to go and fight about. You know what I'm saying? I say go out there and do it. I don't care if you know what I'm saying, what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, man, they doing shit. They doing us all dirty. The moment we, you know what I'm saying, for sure, the Black collective get together and hey, man, let's leverage our voting power. You know what I'm saying, spending power. You know what I'm saying, labor force, all that shit in a collective. Fuck all that being individuals and shit. You know what I'm saying? Shit, one nigga in America, boy, your ass is out of there, nigga. But a group of Black folks, cause then you know what I'm saying. As us as a group being on a code where we can, you know what I'm saying, really try to define ourselves and shit like that. Really to figure out how we gonna move as a society. You know what I'm saying, and look at ourselves as a society and not like, oh, the South niggas gonna do this or Texas niggas gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? Didn't really go down the neighborhood. They go, these neighborhood niggas doing this. Like I say, we Black people are the quickest to divide ourselves, bro. We are the quickest to divide ourselves, man. And I can say white people divide themselves too, but I'm gonna tell you right now, they know when to unify. And it ain't like that's what niggas gotta figure out, bro. When do we unify? And these deacons of the fence, man, they unified under a righteous path, man. Something that is respectable. You know what I'm saying? For sure. We're gonna check out this short little video. So yeah, man. Let me share this screen real quick.
No chase on me, no chase on me, no chase on me, no chase.
Message. Why are we afraid now?
Y'all crazy. What you suggesting, sir?
I'm suggesting we defend ourselves. Most of the Negroes live in Mapleton, so we secure. Archie, TJ, you know how to secure perimeter?
Yes, sir.
First, we arm ourselves. Lock the Klan out of our neighborhood. Second, we take night shifts at the plant so we can watch over our children when they march in the protest.
Well, when do we sleep?
You sleep when you dead. Message. Third, we give armed escorts to these white boys so they can stay and organize so we can get that godforsaken paper plant desegregated and get the jobs we have coming to us.
It was groups like what you're talking about in Alabama, and I think in Mississippi. They made like little armies protected folks from the night riders.
They did it, so can we.
Marcus, ain't this taking things a little too far?
It's called for, and you know it, Archie.
It's an army of one. Then it's an army of one.
Real nigga shit, man. Sometimes you just gotta stand on business and don't listen to them folks talking about, man, we taking it too far when these niggas is literally riding out, terrorizing, hanging niggas, bro. The moment we say, man, we don't do shit, when we find out one of ours got killed and there's some mysterious shit happening, bro, or something like that, bro, when that nigga get away with that shit, man, we need to be active, nigga, proactive. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck all the docile shit, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Cause let's just think about it. If it was one of yours, bro, you ain't finna play, bro. Nigga, I'm not finna play that shit, bro. I'm not finna play that shit, bro. Nigga, we gonna go to jail or hell behind, you know what I'm saying, any one of ours over here, nigga. And I feel like I'm gonna do that for any one of yours, nigga. You know what I'm saying? We gotta do that shit, man. We gotta reciprocate that energy. More now in this regime than ever, bro, because, you know what I'm saying, they gonna brag about all the shit they doing for niggas or whatever, nigga. But all that shit is some minute ass shit, bro. Compared to the grand scheme of things, man, how much money getting funneled out this country right now, bro. This shit is gonna be this country already is a shell of itself, nigga. But I'll continue, man. We don't go on, you know.
I gave my word.
Gentlemen, I've been waiting for this day my whole life.
Archie. All right, then. Let's get started.
The Deacons for Defense and Justice. These were some bad dudes. A group of brothers formed in the civil rights era to protect black folks from the KKK and the police. Everything started out there in Louisiana, Jonesboro, Bogalusa, Homer, and Faraday. And any type of threat towards them or their people, they was ready to blast.
Message.
the desegregation of Jonesboro, Louisiana High School was threatened by local authorities with fire hoses. 4 armed black men arrived with loaded shotguns. Without firing a shot, the mob dispersed and the authorities retreated. The students entered the school without incident. Those men were members of the Deacons for Defense, an armed citizens militia founded in Jonesboro, Louisiana. The Deacons were everyday citizens who by 1965 had organized into more than 50 chapters throughout the South in self-defense from the Ku Klux Klan.
In 1964, down in Louisiana, there were all types of demonstrations going on by freedom riders. Many times, the demonstrations would be met by armed white resistance. People were dying and being shot and intimidated because they were unarmed. And basically, because they were unarmed, they were...
Yeah, soft targets. That's what the KKK went after. You know what I'm saying? Most of these groups went after the motherfuckers that were just trying to do the right thing, that felt like, you know what I'm saying, the government was going to enforce their right to whatever it was, you know what I'm saying, at the time when they finally got, you know what I'm saying, civil rights and all these different bills have been passed, even though they done indoctrinated, you know what I'm saying, separate but equal. Plessy v. Ferguson, you know what I'm saying, these cases like that, you know what I'm saying, like, you got this codified in law that, you know what I'm saying, you can pretty much second classify these people, you know what I'm saying, second class citizen is what I was trying to say. These people any kind of way, you know what I'm saying, treat them any kind of way, bro, you know what I'm saying, even though they're gonna say, as long as we giving them the same whatever, bro. They get a school, we got a school, but they school ran down to the, you know what I'm saying, that's not that's separate and definitely unequal. If the school ain't got no damn books, the school is ran down and shit, man. Even though it was a lot of schools that were doing good, and a lot of black people to this day, man, feel like we gave up a lot. But I mean, you gotta think about, for every good school, there was a lot of schools that was shitty. You know what I'm saying? Now, my way, great grandmother, you know what I'm saying, was a teacher, and they had a pretty decent school. You know what I'm saying? You know, they were teaching I want to say that they were teaching like nigga, all the way from like 1 through 6 in one place, nigga type shit. You know what I'm saying? But that school ended up getting like broke down, like during tore down during integration and shit like that. Like my mom would always tell me about how she couldn't wait to go to the black school, and right when she was getting ready to go to school, she had to go to this like integrated school. So you know what I'm saying? Like, and I want to say it was like what? I think this for her, this was she was getting in junior high or middle school or something like that. But man, it's a lot of give and takes. Like I say, what would we to do with like our own schools with integration? Like I always say, why ain't no white people come to the black school, man? Just be like, fuck it, man. You know, I don't go to the black school. Like they do it now. They doing now. We got white people going to HBCUs. And easily, you know what I'm saying? Ain't no way they can't get denied. You know what I'm saying? A nigga like more likely to get denied from an HBCU than a white person. Real talk. Even though it's not a whole flood of white people probably applying still. But I'm just saying, like, it's just to think of that fact. And you have the president say, well, I gave all this money to HBCUs. Meanwhile, the other schools are, you know what I'm saying, cutting out diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, all these different things like that that would have helped make it less likely for you to be discriminated against getting into these schools. Because, man, let's be honest, man, we brilliant people out here, man. I'm seeing some black kid that done did some new extra smart, crazy shit, bro. Like every day. I mean, yeah, I wish I say those like articles and pictures and little memes and shit like I do some of the other shit sometimes. Cause man, it'd be a lot of like great achievements out here. Like some young black folks doing some excellent things out here, and I think that they don't get highlighted enough, man. And we brilliant, bro. We brilliant people out here, bro. But they try to pretend like, you know what I'm saying, we can't get into the Harvards. We can't be the Ivy League best, but I don't even think a nigga should ever want to be none of that, bro. You shouldn't want to go to the Ivy League. Nigga, we need to build back up those black institutions, man. We need to get back on the black restaurants, black business and shit like that. They want us to be segregate ourselves, nigga. We don't need the law to tell us to do it or none of that shit, nigga. We just do that shit, nigga. And put our money into that shit. And shit, I feel like we'd be so busy doing our own shit, them niggas gonna come over there trying to spend their money and kick it and all that shit. And that's up to the business owner and you know what I'm saying? Like we need, you know what I'm saying, you don't need money. So I ain't knocking a nigga for selling to some white folks or some shit like that, man. But just don't sell out to the white folks. That's the main thing, man. Like shit, get your bread, nigga, but like shit, keep it black, nigga. And keep it for your people, nigga, type shit. Speaking of that, man, I ain't gonna lie, man. I feel like maybe Jay-Z, maybe not, other than the fact that he is in probably some Epstein file shit, you know what I'm saying, which I haven't looked out into that. But as far as what he done did with these halftime shows, man, I got to salute to the nigga for his what he doing with the halftime shows, man. Because we done had 2 political protests, like, you know what I'm saying, like halftime shows in the last 2 years, man. Kendrick Lamar did his thing with his shit, and you can say it was a Drake diss and all that shit too, but it was really a protest in a lot of sense, you know what I'm saying? But it's masked. You gotta, you know what I'm saying, look into that shit, man, and see that shit. Like, peep the game. And I think Bad Bunny did the same thing with Ice and his people, man. Like they both put on for their people, bro. And Jay-Z made that shit happen, bro. Made that shit possible. I mean, I gotta salute him for that. Not necessarily for everything else with Jay-Z, man, because ain't no telling with this nigga, man. But just want to salute to that, man, because a lot of people criticize that whole him and the NFL deal that they had going on with him doing a halftime shows and shit. But I think he done delivered, man, especially these last 2 years. But really, you can say all the way since, man, Dr. Dre and all them niggas was doing that shit in LA, bro. Like, he been doing it, man. It's been a good show. I mean, other than, I ain't gonna lie, Rihanna's show was kind of a little weak, but she was pregnant, though. So I can't even be mad at that. It made sense when I found out she was pregnant. I was like, okay. Like, damn, she ain't really performing, nigga. She just sitting there, nigga. But yeah, don't be doing all that dancing and shit. Make sure the baby all right. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I got to salute to that nigga, man, for that.
We're also being denied the right to vote.
In July of 1964, about 50 cars filled with Klansmen rolled through Jonesboro, Louisiana. Once the cars moved on, people gathered in the streets. The Klan rolled through and left notes threatening if any black people engage with CORE, Congress of Racial Equality. This was a civil rights group that assisted black people with voter registration, integration, and public facilities. The Klan was trying to let them know that if they participated, they would be harmed. Some of the black people were terrified, but most of them went back in the crib and grabbed their guns. The Klan didn't return that night, but it was clear on what they were prepared to do, and they also were supported by the cops. And this Deacons of Defense group was about to get stronger.
These were regular, everyday people. They were not some paramilitary.
Regular, everyday people, my nigga. And said, man, fuck that. I'm tired of how things are being done around here, man. And I'm gonna step up and do something about that shit. And you know what I'm saying? Now, we haven't got to the point, I believe, yet, unless you want to count what's going on with ICE, but I know a lot of niggas don't give a fuck about ICE or that none of that shit is going on. I ain't gonna say a lot of people. It's some people that care, but it's a lot of people that feel like it's not our fight, right? But outside of that, that's really happening in this country. You can't say they just really snatching niggas up off the streets unless you know what I'm saying, some police shit, you know what I'm saying, people out here and playing street games, that type of shit, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not really a group of white folks walking around like, yeah, let me go catching some niggas slipping out, you know what I'm saying? It's probably more covert. So you gotta really pay attention to your surroundings, man. You're more likely to catch racism and bitchery from behind a smiling face. You know what I'm saying? Where they're supposed to be some kind of friendly. I'm the person here to help you, Negro. You know what I'm saying? And the whole time they figure out some way to harm you. That's why you gotta peep it on both sides of the political spectrum. The Republicans, the Democrats, the liberals, the conservatives, the progressives, the reformists. All those people, man. One thing I learned about in history is that, man, everybody ain't fuck. Ain't no nigga fuck with no niggas, man. They ain't give a damn about none of that. As they were talking about, we shouldn't be having 80-hour work weeks and shit like that. They didn't give a damn if niggas was working 100 hours, nigga. Like shit, man. Let put them niggas back on the field, nigga. That's all. That's the whole attitude was toward us, all the way till them niggas signed civil rights. After that, they was still like, how the fuck we, you know what I'm saying, gonna start treating these niggas right. You know what I'm saying? They been fight. They mad because for 40 years they feel like they've been getting discriminated against because they gotta treat us fairly. That's the whole. That's why white folks so mad and why Trump was able to get in office and be who he is in office now. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much king pedophile and shit and all that shit like that, man. You know this man is all in them Epstein files and all that shit. Why they trying to throw Jay-Z out there? Oh, Jay-Z was in the Epstein files. But nigga, who give a fuck about Jay-Z? And we got the president that's in all. We know he all in that shit. Like I don't give a damn about Jay-Z, nigga. Shit, what this nigga? What he done did, man? He the president, bro. He's the president. They try to put Obama in that shit. Nothing, Obama nowhere in there. And I ain't even sitting here like, man, I don't hold Obama to nothing anyway. Like, I don't give a fuck about Obama either, man. I don't feel like you can get power, like government power in this country without, you know what I'm saying, being somewhat a playing of both sides. You know what I'm saying? When you get people in those positions, you got to have somebody that's more likely to listen to you. And Trump ain't listening to no nigga, man. he'll let you get up there and get on camera and shit and pretend like he listening, put a little photo out. Hey, look at how he treated the Negroes this time. I'm not racist, but Trump ain't doing shit for you niggas, man. I'm just telling you, it's just the facts, man. It's just the facts. But we're gonna let this play a little bit longer. Then I'm gonna transition to more of the older history of Negroes fighting back against white supremacy, man. Because I think a lot of niggas out here ain't just because you know what I'm saying. No, it's just me and Rob right now. You know what I'm saying. And I know Rob know a lot about what's going on out here, man. But a lot of niggas just don't realize how much we fought back. Like this wasn't just like they were terrorizing us, man. They got terrorized, nigga. Niggas getting murked. I mean not niggas, but niggas was murking shit, man. Like white folks getting killed out here because they were trying to play these I want to hang nigga games, you know what I'm saying? And they hide that history because they don't want you to know that you can really fight back and do something about that shit. And yeah, sometimes you might get locked up, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you might have to fight for your life, nigga, for real. But that changes a lot more than the old, like even slavery. You think slavery ended because Abraham Lincoln was like, I'm emancipating it. I'm emancipating these people. They're free now. Nigga didn't even free the people that was in the slave states that stayed with the Union. He didn't free those people, man. Was it about freeing us, nigga? It was about keeping the Union intact. And people gotta understand, like, everything's always been politics, man. Politics mostly has been about keeping America in the business class in power. And our politics needs to be about putting the people in power. We got to figure out what system puts the people in power. Some people believe it's communism. Some people believe it's capitalism. Not really a lot of people, but it's a lot of people that think capitalism is the way. But yeah, that's mostly the business people. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Some people say socialism or whatever. Some people believe it's fascism. Obviously, we see that now. We're in the, you know what I'm saying, damn near fascist regime now. You know what I'm saying? Let's get rid of the Mexican people. Soon these niggas get to acting up, we're gonna get rid of their ass too. Like, just because it's enough niggas out there saying, yeah, man, deport them. That's the only reason why they ain't fucking with us. They got enough niggas out there just shit. They done turned the white supremacists down there. Hey, man, deport them Mexicans, man. They don't fuck with black folks anyway. Man, what the fuck? Nigga, what is you talking about? I ain't saying niggas don't act like it ain't racist Mexicans, it ain't racist whatever, man. It's all that shit, bro. But yeah, dog, don't say deport them folks, man. They what they doing that shit, they doing that shit for slip, bro. It wouldn't be immigration problem in this country if it wasn't for businesses looking for cheap labor. Businesses look for cheap labor. All of a sudden, we got a lot of immigrants coming to this country because they're incentivized. They're incentivized to come over here and work. Come over here and get over here and get, you know what I'm saying? It was a lot of visas. Man, World War II, World War One, man. The building of this country, yeah, black people most definitely built this country. So did the immigrants, man. People don't like that, but it's the fact. These are facts. Like the fact that Shabuzi, whatever the fuck that nigga name is, had to apologize for saying a fucking fact, bro. Yes, immigrants built this fucking country too. Yeah, nigga, what you think the Chinese was doing and the Irish was doing and all these other fucking immigrants that was coming to this country, man. They wasn't, man, they were indentured servants. It was out there working their ass off in some kind of field or on a railroad track or some shit too. They just wasn't slaves. That's the only difference. You know what I'm saying? Like they got to go home or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you can leave. You off the clock. This nigga right here not. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, we gotta be honest about that shit. Cause yeah, you know what I'm saying? We definitely built this country, but can't act like we didn't have some help in the matter. Even though we were the niggas not getting paid, niggas not, you know what I'm saying, all that type of shit. Like, so we didn't just, you know what I'm saying, build every fucking thing in the whole country. You know what I'm saying? Like some niggas will really throw that out there. Like, man, we built it all, nigga. Shit, we built it all, nigga. We did build a lot of important shit though. Gotta say that though. Can't lay that. Can't forget that. And it's not to say that black people wasn't even a part with those immigrants in like building the railroads and shit like that. So you can say we built everything still, but it's just like don't erase the Chinese and the Mexicans and all them because you know what I'm saying. It's been all that shit here building this country up this whole time too, and Native Americans, nigga. We just be saying fuck them niggas too. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, I know it's still a debate on if the Native Americans can be separate from the black people or not. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, it's a lot of argument there, bro. I don't know, man. I'm not sure, bro. Sometimes it do make sense that it's a lot of them Native Americans that were black people, bro. I can't argue that. The Black Seminoles, the Gullah Geechee, all these things are literally in existence, man. Shit, bro. Like, yeah. Can't knock that. I can't argue that, bro. I just ain't never gonna say that they all black people, like they all black people and shit. Cause it don't seem like that would make sense, man. And then the whole thing, like, cause who these other people that they saying came from whatever the fuck, bro? If that's where they really came from, cause some people even argue that shit, that narrative that them people came, like, you know what I'm saying, across the whatchamacallit, bro, the Bering Strait, nigga. Like, it was people over here and they might have been different shades and different, maybe 2 or 3 different groups of people, nigga. I can't deny that the Olmec heads, man, them niggas look like some niggas, bro. Can't cap on that, bro. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not arguing that there ain't no way in existence that could be possible. It's just that I feel like it be over exaggerated, especially in some of these communities. Like, it's some extreme shit be going on in some of these communities where I don't understand it, bro. But to pivot from these Deacon of Defense, man, we're gonna talk about, you know what I'm saying, some of the more earlier people as I close out, man. And shout out to Lil Bill. I should have shout out to other channels. The other one channel was One Mic, not One Mic History. History with No Chaser was this last video we was on. Damn, I can't remember the first video. The little known facts. But the channel we on now is Lil Bill, man. For y'all who do want to subscribe to you know what I'm saying, the channel or whatever, but and giving the video people their credit, you know what I'm saying, for their video. This is all in fair use. I must say, I'm not getting monetized for this shit anyway. I just do this for the love of it. I just love to talk about shit. And when I watch these videos all the time, I watch really so much shit, bro. Too much shit to really be on one thing, man. I really got mostly just electrical shit in my head right now because I'm over here trying to study to be an electrician. So I'm trying to always remember that shit all the time. And hell, kind of makes me where it's hard to, you know what I'm saying, really focus on anything else. But man, let my nigga Lil Bill talk to y'all about these type of things, bro. Like the different resistance tactics and groups that formed up as early as Reconstruction. I want to say this goes back to, you know what I'm saying, and honestly, you can say slavery, you know what I'm saying, as well. Like, let's not act like Harriet Tubman was in, you know what I'm saying, existence. I know that's one thing that Aboriginal people be trying to hit me when they start saying if Harriet Tubman wasn't real. That's when I start fucking with them Abo niggas. I like, man, fuck them. Them niggas tripping. How you gonna get rid of a real nigga like that, man? But yeah, man, excuse the Paw Patrol little nigga, man. I'm sure it's one of his just ways of transitioning his videos, man. But this is where I ended up pausing that right on this Paw Patrol nigga, man. Police ass nigga, man.
Like I alluded earlier, the history of Black armed resistance in America goes all the way back to the colonial period. But as has become something of a catchphrase on this channel, we ain't get to that part, bucko. Rather, for the sake of our story, we're going to start at the tail end of what's, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's, the most misunderstood and understudied period of American history aside from the pre-white folks period, Reconstruction. Specifically, I want to use one story to illustrate the role that armed resistance did play when it did play a role, and how if that role had continued, then we probably wouldn't have needed the civil rights movement or Martin and Medgar, among others, to become martyrs for it. Part of the reason I say Reconstruction is the most misunderstood period of American history is because it was unequivocally the most productive period for Black interest until like a century later, and arguably beyond that. At the beginning of 1867, no Blacks had held public office in the South to that point. But by the end of that decade, 15% of political offices were held by Black people, a greater share than in 1990. In Mississippi between 1870 and 76, 112 black state senators were elected to office, along with 2 U.S. senators and 1 U.S. congressman. In South Carolina, 190 black state senators were elected and 6 U.S. congressmen in that same period. In fact, the percentage of black delegates to the 1867 state constitutional conventions for South Carolina and Louisiana, respectively, were 61 and 64%. In fact, during this period, the southern states combined elected 633 black state senators, 2 U.S. senators, and 15 U.S. congressmen. But unlike 2008 and this year, the importance of these black legislators to black identity actually did go further than just skin deep. And yes, that shot was aimed squarely at the Jack and Jillians in the audience. For example, Mississippi's state constitution of 1868 granted state citizenship to all people who lived within the state borders, along with universal male suffrage, the establishment of that state's public school system, the elimination of segregation in public institutions, and the abolition of slavery in that state. Because, yeah, they really did have to do that like 3 or 4 times. This is Mississippi in the 19th century, after all. What do you expect? One of the people instrumental in drafting that legislation was Charles Caldwell, who was elected as a delegate to the state constitutional convention that created the 68 Constitution. Almost definitely not by coincidence, Caldwell was attacked by the son of a white Mississippi judge a few weeks later, and Caldwell shot him in self-defense. Now, again, this is Mississippi in the 19th century. The only place more dangerous for a black man is the Kardashian household. And I swear to God, Get Out is low-key a biopic about that family. My point is, y'all kind of already know how this story ends, right? Except it didn't end that way. Just like Get Out. See, y'all gotta pay attention. There's layers to these jokes, man. Y'all been listening to Drake for too long. Get your critical thinking skills up. Caldwell became the first black man on record to shoot a white man and be acquitted by an American court, making him the inaugural entrant into the Real Nigga Hall of Fame. But more importantly, Caldwell was one of those 100.
Nah, facts though. Real Nigga Hall of Fame type shit for real though. You know what I'm saying? Charles Caldwell. You know what I'm saying? Got a mental note there again. You know what I'm saying? Real nigga, man. You know what I'm saying? Went to the courts and beat that shit. White boy trying to hurt me? Popped his ass. And he's a state legislator. You know what I'm saying? Help get shit passed. You know what I'm saying? Fought that good fight, man. See, that's the type of politician I need in life, man. Politician ready to pop a nigga if he run up on him wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't doing all that, man. We come here to do shit civilized, man. You know what I'm talking about? But it can't get uncivil.
And something state senators I mentioned earlier being elected in 1870. In fact, by 1873, black men held the offices of lieutenant governor, secretary of state, superintendent of education, and speaker of the House in Mississippi. In response, white supremacists, most of which were former Confederate soldiers or at least Confederate sympathizers, worked to undermine the new black state government by doing what white folks do best, and that's violence. And yeah, both history and the FBI will co-sign that, by the way. So go either cry about it or do better, Jimothy. The 4chan is sitting right there for you, or I guess Twitter at this point, whatever. A slew of race riots occurred in Mississippi in 1875, including one incident where Caldwell was shot at during a public debate. In response, the black citizens and white allies in the state demanded that the state provide black people with arms to defend themselves from white rage. In response to that, then Governor Adelbert Ames authorized the creation of 7 state militia that were comprised of blacks and sympathetic whites, placing none other than Charles Caldwell in command of one of those militia. On October 9th, 1875, Caldwell led a combined militia into the state capital of Jackson on an arms run to the Republican capital. I don't know why I said capital twice. When the pro-Democrat white forces blockading the city saw the armed militia, they had no choice but to back down and go home with their tails tucked betwixt their ball sacks. The reason I brought that part up is because a month prior, the state Supreme Court ruled that the state could not supply arms to the militiamen. 5 days prior to Caldwell's march, Governor Ames disbanded the militias, leaving the white supremacists free to terrorize the black and white Republicans with impunity. This run would be the last triumph of Caldwell's tenure because in the midst of growing violence, he, along with a friend and several other black men near his home, were killed on Christmas night that same year by white terrorists. The story of Charles Caldwell symbolizes why we don't talk about Reconstruction, and more important for our story, even less about Black armed resistance. The story of America, especially in its first 100 or so years, is one of steady progress, or at least that's what our national mythology says it is. The indomitable American spirit and all of that, or whatever. But Reconstruction kind of derails that whole narrative because you can't learn, let alone talk about this period and not wonder what could have been, especially if you're Black. What makes it more damning is that there's literally no good reason the South set the reset button on itself without even bothering the scum save other than fragile white masculinity. Like, that's literally it. Every other policy or social issue of this period comes back to white folks, specifically those from the planter class, feeling salty about losing their Negroes. And again, that just don't jive with the melting pot myth that made America the land of make-believe for model minorities until the Bush years. The other part is the primary issue that has existed with Black armed resistance since basically its birth: retaliation. In the years following Reconstruction, Black people were dissuaded from forming any sort of paramilitary force for defense, let alone civil rights, because of the way they'd seen white people act during the Reconstruction. This is the era in which domestic terror groups like the Red Shirts, the Klan, and the Pale Face Brotherhood were formed. And I swear to God, I did not make that last one up, but I kind of sort of wish I did. And they were formed explicitly to reassert the primacy of white people, specifically men, in a society that quite literally said that their way of life was now obsolete. This was the antebellum South's fight or flight response, so to speak. And what they feared was Black people with rights, let alone arms, and what that meant to not just their way of life, but their lives themselves. So they reacted accordingly. That said, just because there were no Black paramilitary groups during this period didn't mean armed resistance just stopped altogether. Quite the opposite, in fact. Instances of armed resistance in this period were primarily spontaneous and of a defensive nature. One of the most noteworthy examples involved a sharecropper named Joe Pullen. According to one account, Pullen got into an argument with his landlord over a $50 debt. When the landlord arrived for the money, Pullen just jawed at him with his hands tucked in his pockets. The landlord, taking this as a sign of disrespect, demanded that Pullen take his hands out of his pockets, which Pullen did, pulling out a handgun in the process and shooting his landlord through the chest and killing him, at which point he probably heard the music from that JoJo meme playing in the hills somewhere. Anyway, Pullen fled to his mother's house and grabbed a .38 and a shotty and hid in a ditch before ambushing a posse of 100 white men and chasing them, killing anywhere from 6 to 13 and wounding up to another 26, depending upon which account you believe, before the posse called in reinforcements from the neighboring county, including the sheriff, who brought with him a Browning freaking machine gun, while other members of the posse brought automatic rifles. According to historian Akinyele Omowale Omoja, the author of We Will Shoot Back, the fight lasted 7 hours before Pullen was finally killed. His body dragged across the county as a warning to any other uppities to know their place, and his ear cut off and preserved in alcohol as a trophy. And yeah, I don't know, man, if this is a victory lap to be taken after 26 of my homies got capped by one dude. That sounds like a solid L to me. Pullen became something of a local legend to the Blacks in the region, with Fannie Lou Hamer even recounting how the dispute all started from Pullen keeping the money his landlord gave him to hire more workers as back pay for unpaid work, and that the landlord was the one who actually shot first. Now, as positively badass as this story is, the immediate aftermath is exactly what I was talking about why these things didn't happen as often or on a larger scale. Strict curfews were enforced on Blacks in the town where the incident took place. And in one incident, the sheriff killed 7 or 8 Blacks for just crossing the street after curfew. That said, the longer lasting impact was that, in Hamer's words, it was a while in Mississippi before whites tried pulling something like that again. In fact, Pullen's story didn't stay in the Delta, but it reached the ears of King Black capitalism himself, Marcus Garvey. And during the UNI International Convention of 1924, Garvey presided over a session titled Lynching and How to Correct It. Now,
I'm gonna end it there, man. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Resistance is always going to be key, but we also got to understand that, you know what I'm saying? The reason why a lot of times things don't happen is because people do look at the sacrifice that come behind it. One person fights back, shit, 6, 7, 8 people get killed. That's a real reality. But me, honestly, man, like I say, man, at some point, you know what I'm saying? Them 6, 7 people getting killed any damn way. You know what I'm saying? And they on different ways. Man, I just seen what was that? A boy in, what was it? Was that Mississippi or was that Georgia? That was found hanging from a tree recently, man. It's like a 21-year-old. He was missing. I want to say, man, I think it's Mississippi. These things just can't keep happening, bro. Black children and black men, young men missing, all of a sudden they hanging from a tree, and you're gonna tell me there was no foul play? No foul play. One thing black folks ain't doing is just going volunteering, hanging themselves from trees. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. This is something I just noticed, man. It's not just happening like that, dog. But yeah, gotta remember to fight back. Gotta remember to, you know what I'm saying, never forget our history, you know what I'm saying, and what it means to be black in this country. You know what I'm saying? It means fighting. The whole purpose of black people is to fight back, man. Since we became black and we wasn't no longer whatever we were before that, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the tribal name or whatever we would have been if we were in our natural habitat, our natural state. Since we became the black people of this country, man, it's to fight. Never let them, you know what I'm saying, keep you in that second class citizenship, man. Fight back every narrative that they try to put on black people whatsoever, man. Because, you know what I'm saying, though, we got a lot of work to do in our own communities, and it's a lot of messed up shit that happened in our communities. Oh, man, we not going to sit here and play like, you know what I'm saying, all that is because, you know what I'm saying, we just had an equal playing field and shit ain't just, you know what I'm saying, been stacked against us over and over again. Yeah, people make mistakes. But you can't sit here and say like our mistakes ain't even been magnified by the fact that we haven't had an equal playing field from the start. Like, you know what I'm saying? Black people were set up to fail in this country. And just because the more codified version of that was years and years ago, really only as early as 60 something, 70 years ago. How long ago was it since the 64 Civil Rights Act? 67, I think 68, shit like that, or 65. What's about 3 or 4 of those bills in the 60s, you know what I'm saying? Even though we still have the 14th, the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendment, right? That's supposed to already solidify all this shit. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to be able to not even need a Civil Rights Act. You know what I'm saying? Because we had all this shit that gave us these rights. Reconstruction and everything that was supposed to get us right? How in the fuck do we even need a civil rights bill in the first place? That's why I say all that shit, the amendments, all that shit was for white people, man, because they didn't know that you couldn't just treat niggas any kind of way. You know what I'm saying? 64, right? You know, with 64, a lot of this shit just, you know what I'm saying? Like we was given the right to vote. What, the 15th Amendment? The 14th Amendment gave us, we were naturalized citizens without every right like any other citizen. 13th Amendment abolished slavery, supposedly, except for a punishment of crime. That's when we started becoming criminals. Right after the 13th Amendment was passed, we started becoming criminals. Jails filled with white people during the 1860s, 1850s, 1840s, 1870s, 90s, 1900s, early 1900s, and shit like that, filled with black people. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, we get it, man. I definitely understand what's really going on here, man. And I feel like, man, we gotta all understand like there was never a there's never even playing field. And you look through history, you see that shit clearly. It's not up for debate. Never let them tell you different. That's my main point of talking about this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I talked about the victories in particular. I ain't want to talk about how they were doing us. And I ain't gonna show you no videos of the KKK terrorizing us, nigga. Nah, we was shooting back. We popping shit. You know what I'm saying? We was out here getting it in. We wasn't no hoes, nigga. You know what I'm saying? That's why I hate people saying we are not our ancestors. Nah, nigga, we are ancestors, nigga. They was fighting, nigga. They was fighting like a motherfucker, bro. Shit, everybody ain't had no docile mindset, man. Don't let yourself even believe that shit for a second. You don't know what lineage you come from. You probably come from some good stock, some real thoroughbred fighting motherfuckers, man. You know what I'm saying? I know I do. You know what I'm saying? So everybody be blessed, man. Have a happy Black History Year life. Be happy being black. Because you know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing like you out there in this world, nigga. And it's not no hate on any other people, bro. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Love yourself, man. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy being, you know what I'm saying, black and having not only the triumphs and victories, but the struggles, nigga. Cause it's all in good purpose. And I feel like in the meaning of that shit, man, bro, will reveal itself in due time, bro. For sure. You know what I'm saying? Everything it'll come to the light. For sure, man. But man, y'all be blessed, man. I gotta go get ready for church, man. Yeah. And shit. I'm finna do the Black History program up there, man. It's gonna be decent, man. You're gonna sit there and he George Washington Carver, man. You know what I'm saying? He gonna have his little lines to say, man. That's what's up, dog. But man, yeah, man, I enjoy yourselves, man, out there, bro. Enjoy life, man. I definitely enjoy mine right now, bro. As much as I get on here and I talk about all the shit that's going on in the world, I can't sit here and say that my life ain't been good, man. Like, my life been getting better and better as, you know what I'm saying, time has progressed, man. I don't know why that is with the world and the state of the world the way it is. I don't know what it is that makes that happen, man, for me. But yeah, man, I'm definitely glad, bro. I'm definitely happy about that. So I hope the same will happen for the rest of y'all out there, man. Y'all really, you know what I'm saying, progressing and things just get better for you. Cause you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, man, a lot of you, whether you believe in the devil and all that shit or not, but a lot of times some people are devil proof, bro. I believe, man. I think it's just being grounded in yourself, being grounded in, you know what I'm saying, your true nature and whatnot. Like whether you have like God in your life or whatever you seek as that higher power or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? It could be yourself. I don't know, man. But yeah, man, just hold on to that peace if you got it, man, for sure. Cause that peace of mind better than anything else out here in this world. And I promise you that. But I'm out, man. Y'all have a blessed rest of y'all day, man.